I just wanted to understand a bit about REX.
That's under the transport outcome.
Yes, but I don't need the details per se. In a briefing I received from the department late last week, I'm just wanting to understand the language used was second stage, phase 2 purchase. There was a
Second sales process.
second sales process, thank you. So can I please understand how that second sales process will work?
We're squarely in the transport outcome now, Chair. But
Well, the Chair started us in IIP.
Well, Ashton, as I said, that if you want to move to the proper outcome, I was happy to do that. So, look, I want to try and keep, because there's other senators, not just us, who are following the proceedings, who want to come in and ask questions. So if we're finished in corporate matters, I would like to move on.
No, this is a corporate question.
Well,
Chair.
the Secretary, with all due respect, I think the Secretary's made it quite clear that this is outcome 1. So rather than keep chopping and changing, do you have any more for corporate?
Yes.
Well, let's finish corporate.
Okay.
And I would ask Ms. Purvis-Smith that we come back in transport.
Well, Chair, you went to the profiling of the Bruce Highway as your number 1 question, which was outcome 1.
You're right.
The Secretary at the time said, Chair, this is outcome 1. You said, I want to ask them now.
No, I said I'm happy to go to outcome 1. I said I support that. And you said, no, let's leave it here. Don't put words in my mouth.
Chair.
Do not put words in my mouth.
I'm allowed to ask about REX in corporate.
You can, absolutely. And you can have all the time you want, and I'll let the agencies know that we won't get to them
And if I get to the detail that Ms Purvis doesn't have, I'm sure she will refer me.
Don't keep talking over me. We can finish corporate matters and then we can get moving. Do you have any further questions?
Yes, I do.
Matters? Fire away on corporate matters.
How many staff are working on the REX?
Is this corporate matters?
Yes, this is.
I'll be led by Mr.
We'll
Betts.
take the question.
You happy to take them now?
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
All right.
Ms. Purvis-Smith.
I will have more staff later in the...
So we can do it all over again?
Yeah, we're going to do it all day.
Oh, well, now, Mr. Betts, the agencies, there is no way known we're going to get to them today, and I'm making it quite clear that I want to waste any more money than the taxpayers' money than we have
Really?
to. So we should put them all on notice that we are not going to get to them.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Betts. If you could just get that procedure moving for us. Thank you.
Marisa Purvis-Smith, Deputy Secretary, Aviation Response.
Thank you.
There are 19.9 full-time equivalent staff within the REX task force, the Aviation Response Task Force. 19.9.
Okay, and can I just quickly go through how many at each band, please?
You can.
Or unless you have a total cost?
I have both.
Oh, thank you.
There is one SES Band 3, which is myself.
Right.
There is one SES Band 2.
Mm-hmm.
There is one SES Band 1. There are 4 EL2s.
Mm-hmm.
There are 8.9 EL1s. There are 2 APS 6s and 2 APS 5s. Employee expenses as at 31 January 2025, which is a year-to-date actual, was $986,000. $6,000 for staffing year-to-date actual.
And is there any other costs incurred by this? I'm trying to find my org chart, by this division.
There is expenditure in relation to consultancies and advisors that we have contracted.
Okay, can I have year-to-date figures for those, please?
Yes. We have contracted McGrath-Nicol Advisory Partnerships.
Sorry, say that again.
McGrath-Nicol Advisory Partnerships.
Yep.
The value expensed as at 31 January was $1.013 million.
Yep.
O'Connor Marsden and Associates, which is a probity advisor. The contract value expensed so far, as at 31 January, was
Yep.
0.032 million.
Yep.
LEK Consulting, contract value expensed 0.193 million.
Yep.
Norton Rose Fulbright, contract value expensed so far, as at 31 January, 1.436 million. Lazard Australia,
Yep.
as at 31 January, value expensed 0.561 million.
Okay, so you've given me the year-to-date figures. Is there, as Mr. Betts has made clear, department seeking to come in, is confident it will come in on budget, end of financial year? Have you got budgeted figures against what you plan to expend by end of financial year on contracting?
Yes. We received $12 million in my EFO. The total contract values of all of the contracts so far that we expect to have the total contract value is 9.078 million.
Okay. Thank you. So that 12 million is on top of the 130 million that the government's announced they're putting towards the Rex.
That's right. The 130 million is comprised of an $80 million loan to the administrators and a $50 million acquisition of debt. This that I've just gone through is departmental, either for staffing and then advisors that we have contracted.
Is there any other expenditure with the administration of Rex outside of staffing and contractors that you anticipate the department having to fund?
I can't.
Travel in and above, or does this division have a separate line item for travel?
No, I don't think this. We've not travelled really anywhere since Rex has gone into
It kind
voluntary
of goes with the
administration.
theme, doesn't it?
Senator, there may be some travel, but
all right.
We've not travelled at all since.
Okay. On the debt, how many cents in the dollar was paid for that debt?
If I may, I'm happy to go through this, but this is definitely getting into transport group area.
You.
So PAG, the government acquired $50 million of PAG's debt.
Yes.
I don't know that I would classify it as a cents in the dollar. I would classify it as a refinancing.
Yep. Okay.
Swapping one creditor for another.
Yep.
So it was $50 million of PAG's debt.
And so not dollar for dollar?
I don't know that I'd classify it that way. We received $50 million. We didn't say. So, if I may classify it this way, it is a refinancing.
Yes.
We acquired and purchased $50 million of PAG's debt for $50 million and the security that went with that.
Did you get a good deal?
PAG had security over all of Rex's assets and businesses. It was able, if it wanted as secured creditor and financier, its debt was fully covered by its security.
Right. I will have more questions on that when we get there. Just in terms of your staff, were they additional staff or reassigned, or of the 19.9 or new?
They were staff from across the department, so they
were all existing.
They were all existing. I think there might be one or two secondments from other departments, but again, existing staff.
Isn't there $150 million of debt?
You've gone back to PAG's debt, is
I
that
have.
right?
That's what's been reported in the... Yes, that's PAG's debt.
The Rex's financial accounts state that PAG, when it entered and provided a debt financing facility to Rex, provided a $120 million convertible note to Rex. They also funded the administration for a certain period of time to the extent of $20 million, and then they had interest.
Okay. How much is their interest?
I don't have that level of detail. That's a level of commercial detail that I'm not able to divulge.
So is PAG still listed as a debtor in the administration?
PAG still has a small amount of debt.
How much?
I'm unable to divulge that. That is commercial.
Okay. What specific criteria and risk assessments did the government employ before deciding to acquire the $50 million of debt?
Everything in relation to the decision to acquire $50 million in debt went through a cabinet process, and I'm unable to divulge cabinet content.
But you're confident, as an official and secretary, you're confident that all appropriate risk assessments were conducted prior to it going to cabinet? And risk, you've gone through a lot of probity specialists, contracts out with legal firms, etc. Did, in terms of assessing risk to the Commonwealth, did we get advice from the Solicitor General for this submission? I don't want you to go to the detail of the advice.
We received AGS advice.
Okay.
We've been working with AGS all the way through.
Okay, good. And you can't tell me how many cents in the dollar the Commonwealth paid for that distressed debt?
Well, I think
other than PAG has a very small...
They have a small amount of debt
left,
which we have not acquired.
Yep. What demands did PAG put on the table before the $50 million was agreed? What did they need?
That's a commercial in confidence. There is a public interest immunity claim over the content and detail of the acquisition of PAG debt.
So who's the... Oh, righto. No, that's fine. Did PAG threaten to liquidate the airline?
Again, it's commercial in confidence material. What I can say is that as secured creditor and financier, they had enforcement rights, and because they were fully secured with the assets across all of the Rex group, the amount of security were not the assets non-core to the Rex regional business were not sufficient to pay out all of PAG's debt.
Okay. Can you table the PII claim, please?
I'll be able to.
Yeah, Minister, could you table the PII claim?
I don't have it with me, but my understanding is that Minister King has made that claim.
Well, it would be appropriate for the committee to actually receive it if you're claiming it in this forum. It just doesn't, sort of like the invisibility cloak of Harry Potter. You just put it out and in every forum. You need to table it to this committee.
Yeah, and I'm happy to.
Okay. Does anyone have a copy for the Assistant Minister?
My understanding is it's already been tabled in the Senate, but we'll provide a copy.
Yep. Oh, awesome. How many of the 4,450 creditors have received payments from the Commonwealth?
Senator, when a business goes into voluntary administration, the creditors then go into that process and they are then dealt with as a part of the outcome at the end of the voluntary administration process. Employee entitlements, the government has paid and provided early access to the FEG, the Fair Entitlement Guarantee, for employees associated and employed by the business of the 737 business, and the voluntary administrators paid the employee entitlements up to the level of the FEG prior to the government becoming the financier.
Did the government express any concern about bailing out foreign investors in this case?
The government's concern was in relation to the regional routes and ensuring that a sale of the Rex regional business was possible.
After 7 months of trying to find a buyer, the government still believes a sale is possible?
If I might, Senator, the way the voluntary administration has worked was there is formal sales processes. Mm-hmm. The formal sale process was a very truncated and accelerated process and was, I think, 3 to 4 weeks.
Is that a fancy saying of rushed?
The administrators put together a timeline based on the money, the amount of funding they anticipated they would have. The 7 months has been, they found a sale for Pelair, for NJE and for some other asset sales. They've been completing those asset sales and the Pelair sale, and they've been disentangling, if I might put it that way, from the financial accounts those parts of the business and readying the Rex regional business for a second sale process.
How much does Rex owe Australian airports?
I don't have that handy with me. Again,
will you have it this afternoon in transport?
I will try to, but I'll also get advice on that type of material we receive from the administrator.
I can tell you the regional councils that own the airports are very happy to make public. So you're not hiding anything that's not already, but it'd be good to know that you know and get a comprehensive list. Has any efforts been made to repay the money owed to regional airports?
Again, they are a creditor in a voluntary administration process. They are being paid for their services during the voluntary administration process.
But not the money owed?
But they are creditors in a voluntary administration process.
Has there been any discussion by the government or any creditors about the former chairman, Mr Lim Kim Hai, taking back the reins of Rex?
Can you repeat that question? Any discussions by who?
The government.
The government.
In the former chair, Mr Lim Kim Hai, taking back the reins of Rex?
Not that I'm aware, Senator. This is a voluntary administration process being run by the voluntary administrators and the government is focusing on providing support to see a second sale of the business.
Does PAG think it'll be a good idea?
Sorry?
Does PAG think, the administrators think it would be a good idea for Mr Hai to come back?
Can I clarify that question? PAG is not the administrators. The administrators are Ernst Young, EY. Yep. They are running the voluntary administration process and are running the sale process.
Have you had any discussions with PAG?
About that, no.
About that, no. Do you know if the Minister has?
The Minister has not had any discussions with CAG.
Could you just give us a breakdown of the $80 million loan facility extended to REX? The terms, interest rates, repayment schedules?
Again, they are commercial in confidence terms, Senator.
Why?
All
The public knows you've spent the money. Surely the public is entitled to know what the terms for their taxpayer dollars going to this effort are.
the terms of the loan agreement are commercial in confidence with the administrators.
On what ground? Commercial in confidence?
They are commercial terms. They were negotiated.
Wouldn't it be
on
better to
commercial
say
terms.
it would impact state relations between Commonwealth and state governments, Western Australia and Queensland, in discussing those regulated routes?
So it depends on it depends on individual routes and what you are specifically asking in relation to the terms in particular. They were a negotiated outcome and loan document. It would go to prejudicing any future negotiations the government might need to undertake and negotiate a similar loan in an administration process.
So of the 4,450 creditors in this situation, how many of them are small to medium enterprises here in Australia, Australian-owned and run businesses?
I don't have that material to hand. The administrators go through...
Will you have it this afternoon?
I don't know whether I will have that level of detail this afternoon.
Because I would like to understand of these creditors who are foreign-owned entities and who are small to medium enterprises who are still waiting to be paid from a foreign investment perspective, and we've got the government's shelling out $130 million while legitimate Australian-owned businesses around the country are waiting to be paid.
The voluntary administration process is being run by the administrators at arm's length to government. The material and information that I receive from them is commercial in confidence. We have signed NDA agreements with them to be able to receive that information. I will need to respect that, or in future I will not be able to receive the information that I am receiving and the government is receiving. The voluntary administrators are running it. We are not making the decisions and cannot make decisions for
No,
the
the foreign
administrators.
creditors are.
For the administrators. The administrators are running the business and making the decisions. The government and department cannot make decisions of or for the administrators.
Not expecting you to do anything that is outside the process. Minister, why do you think it's okay for your government to bail out foreign investors whilst legitimate Australian-owned mum and dad businesses are waiting to be paid, particularly in this instance?
Well, I don't think that's an accurate reflection of what's going on, Senator McKenzie. We've been clear from the start that we believe that the services that REX provide to regional Australia are really important. We want to see those continue. As someone who travels to regional Australia regularly, I know that you can only get to some places because REX fly there. The support that we've provided to ensure that those services can continue to regional Australia have been really important. I think Ms Purvis-Smith has been going through the work that's been undertaken by the department, which is obviously extremely complex, and we sincerely hope that that second sale process is successful, and that's what the government is hoping will achieve.
Mm. So you've obviously gamed nationalising REX. What sort of things would have to happen in order for that to occur, other than Michael Caine think it a good idea?
Oh, for goodness. There is just no depth
Come
to
in.
how low you can just drop, seriously, Senator.
What, you don't
You
like
even have to
Michael's
answer- you do not even
suggestion
have
to
answer that,
nationalise
Ms.
REX?
Purvis-Smith. You do not have to answer that. It's up to you.
What conditions need to be met for the government to purchase REX and outright?
That's a hypothetical question.
No, it's actually not.
The government
Has made it very clear that that is what they're planning to do if no purchaser is to be found.
The government would need to make any decision to acquire REX is a decision of government and a decision in the future.
But there hasn't been any consider what the preconditions would be to that occurring prior to throwing all this money at it?
The government is focused on getting a successful sale process.
So
at
no
this point
thought's
in
been
time.
given
The
to
government has said that
what happens if.
the government has said that in the absence of a sale, that it would undertake work on a range of options, including acquisition. That work will need to be undertaken. And any decision to acquire REX will need to occur as a decision of government.
But no work's been undertaken on the preconditions for that to occur.
I can say, Senator, that work is being undertaken on a range of options.
I hope so.
Trying
to pull that out from under the rug in a 2-week process.
all of those options will need to be a decision of government in the future.
Obviously. What was the thinking behind putting the government up as a potential buyer in the middle of trying to run a market process?
I think, as you're aware, Senator, all announcements are a matter for government.
Minister, do you think, like, saying you'll buy it if no one else does and then wanting to run a legitimate market process is sort of a sound way to approach this type of conundrum?
My recollection of the announcement from a couple of weeks ago was that we were clear that our preference is for that second sale to be successful.
Do you think you've damaged the potential for the second sale to be successful by the government announcing they'll step in if no one steps up?
No, I don't believe so. I believe the work that we've been doing diligently on this, that Ms Purvis-Smith has run through, is going to hopefully, and the government's intention and hope is that that second sale process is successful.
Do any economists agree with you that it has no impact, that it won't impact the sale?
I'm unaware. I haven't been following economists that closely on this issue, Senator McKenzie.
Senator, Ms Purvis-Smith, are you aware of any financial commentators that have said that the government's announcement that they would step in if no one stepped up to purchase REX was a sound way to approach a market process?
I think there's been a range of commentary.
Well, there's been a range, but has anyone been thinking that that's a sound way to approach this type of conundrum?
I think that there's been a range of commentary.
So you haven't found anyone,
both
have
for and on both sides of the camp.
Mr Betts, maybe before we get to outcome 2 on the transport, the media team could provide this committee with public commentary that's been supportive. Hang on, here's coming something from the Minister's office. No?
It's different. I don't think it's our job to provide you with media.
Yes, that would be lovely.
I don't
if
think
you
that's
could.
our job.
If there has been positive things said about the government announcing themselves as the purchaser if no buyer is found.
I'll give you an example. The former Deputy Prime Minister, Mr McCormack, said positive things about it last week. But
I'm pretty sure that was
there's no reason why.
of the guarantee he was positive of.
The government's made it very clear that its first preference is a successful second sales process. The fact that it might consider acquisition as a fallback, as a buyer of last resort, in no way prejudices the effective conduct of that second sales process. And that's the view of the administrators as well.
That's the view of the administrators. Okay, I think we are done for now on corporate, from the opposition's perspective.